Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And with that, we'll bring you live from the Federal Reserve. How ridiculous are those videos?
It's so ridiculous. I love watching them, though. Just sheep. They're just herding the sheep.
That's
they get all in the morning. I can just see them all coming in and like, here's your paper, here's your paper, here's your paper, and like, well, every single person, you know what I mean? It's like everybody gets the memo went out to all the masses that this is what you're going to say today.
I think they're the biggest sheep there are. The broadcasters.
Sure.
If they weren't, it would drive them nuts. This thing hasn't started yet, but it is 2:31.
Well, it's the government,
right?
So can't expect things to start on time.
People want.
It's not right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now.
Yeah, it's not efficient. So, all right. Well, then now, what do you think they're gonna say?
I think they're gonna do a whole bunch of nothing. I think they're gonna say a whole bunch of nothing. We got to remember that this is the first meeting since Trump's been in office. So they're in there and they're like, God, this son of a bitch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, lower rates. And he thinks we're just going to lower rates because he wants us to lower rates. Well, we're not going to lower rates because he wants us to lower rates.
Right. Exactly.
That's how I picture it going.
Yeah,
what do you
me
think,
too.
Bob? I think he's a son of a bitch too. I hate him.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, Jerome walks in and he's like, so what are we thinking? And they were like, well, what are you thinking? I think so they're not going to lower rates. That's almost like a foregone conclusion, it seems like.
No, but as we saw in our video yesterday, doesn't really matter what they do. Because the markets are going to react however the hell they want to react.
I mean, if you're using the logic of the last 6 months, you're rooting for a no cut. Because every time they cut, the rates go up.
Right.
But I think there's just going to be a pissing match. Like, they're supposed to talk about... What the hell's going on here? It's still not on. They're supposed to
5 times this year.
They're supposed to talk about. I'm sure they're going to talk about President Trump wanting to be more involved in the process. I don't know how these things typically go. I mean, is he going to come out and talk right away, or is there going to be a bunch of
about it? We don't see any kind of press.
Oh, here we go.
You gonna share it?
Sustainably to our 2% goal and keeping longer run inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Steve. Mr. Chairman, Steve Leisman from CNBC. Mr. Chairman, at a event in Davos, or from to Davos anyway, the president said he'll demand that interest rates drop immediately. So I guess I have a 3-part question. Has the president done this to you? Has he made that demand? Secondly, what is your response to that? And third, what effect, if anything, if any, does a president making these kind of remarks have on policy? Thank you.
Three questions. I'm seeing it really as one question though. So I'm not going to have any response or comment whatsoever on what the president said. It's not appropriate for me to do so. The public should be confident that we will continue to do our work as we always have, focusing on using our tools to achieve our goals and really keeping our heads down and doing our work. And that's how we best serve the public.
Can you just comment on whether he's physically communicated this demand to you?
I've had no contact.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nick Timmeros, The Wall Street Journal.
Did we miss it?
Chair Powell, you and several of your colleagues
they're
said
gonna
around
do?
the time of the last meeting that your policy stance was meaningfully restrictive. Given economic and financial market development since then, how has your confidence changed in an assessment that says interest rates are meaningfully restrictive?
I don't think that my assessment really has changed. I mean, a couple of things have happened. We've gotten more strong data, but we've also seen rates move up at the long end, which could represent a tightening in financial conditions. I think if we look back over the past year or so,
It wasn't streamed. They didn't lower rates. They just kept them the same.
kept them
we can see that policy is restrictive. If you look at the effect of high rates on interest-sensitive spending, for example, in housing, and if you look at the achievement of our goal variables, we're seeing the economy move toward 2% inflation and has moved largely to maximum employment. So we really look at movement toward the goal variables to make that assessment. Now, policy is meaningfully less restrictive than it was before we began to cut. It's 100 basis points less restrictive, and for that reason, we're going to be focusing on seeing real progress on inflation, or alternatively some weakness in the labor market before we consider making adjustments.
If I could follow up, does the economy here warrant meaningfully restrictive interest rates? And would you judge interest rates to still be meaningfully restrictive if you were to lower them by another quarter point?
So I think our policy stance is very well calibrated, as I mentioned, to balance the achievement of our two goals. We want policy to be restrictive enough to continue to foster further progress toward a 2% inflation goal. At the same time, we don't need to see further weakening in the labor market to achieve that goal. And that's kind of what we've been getting. The labor market has really been broadly stable. The unemployment rate has been broadly stable now for 6 months. Conditions seem to be broadly in balance. And I'd say look at the last couple of inflation readings and you see we don't overreact to two good readings or two bad readings, but nonetheless, the last couple of readings have suggested, more positive.
What do you think, Al? Should we look at this? What's this?
Saying a whole bunch of nothing. That's what.
I mean, like what? Like fucking either where it's over our head or, I mean, the unemployment. That is good to hear. I guess that they don't want to see the labor market cool much more. They're okay with where it is because remember 6 months ago or so they were like they had inflation under wraps, but they were worried about the hot labor market.
Yeah. So basically, they're going to need to see some significant progress in inflation or
see now this
in the labor market.
So let's see. Let's see what's happening real quick.
Which, I mean, that's what we expected to happen. What's 10-year doing? She's up 4.574.
So I guess what was the daily low? Day low is 4.5. So it's up and climbing. This is like it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. That's not
because what do you want? If they cut, do they go down this time? It's like the last 4 times they cut, they went up, and they don't cut.
Right.
It goes up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, to be completely honest. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
All right, so here we've got mortgage-backed securities. So they've been on a good run, good little run of the price of the 5.5 coupon's been going up, and which moves interest rates up. But we should, I guess we'll see some of this change over the next hour or two. 30-year fixed rate at 7.
Yeah, that hasn't changed, but we'll get into that more on the show. But yeah, a little just a touch over 7.
Check back in.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll check back in on it on Friday on the show and see, give the markets a little bit of time to digest this groundbreaking
Give the markets
news.
a little bit of time to digest. You just need to get the markets just need to digest things,
Yeah, sometimes a little digestion period. You know what I
And
mean?
you know what?
This is groundbreaking stuff.
If it's just if it's liquids, the market can digest it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's meaty, if it's protein,
yeah,
like a no cut,
yeah.
If it's
there's some meat on this bone, right?
Yeah, you're not really sure what to make of it. So not only the market is going to have to digest it, but investors are going to have to digest it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Al's going to have to do a little digesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're gonna have. I had 6 tacos the other night, and I'm still digesting those.
I absolutely believe that. I think the most you've ever had in a sitting is probably 3. So you must have been really going for it. Really going for it. I don't think I've eaten since last night either. Had way too big of a dinner and felt pretty miserable throughout last night and into today.
Bobby Smith with the New York Times. Chair Powell, how should we interpret the removal of the line from the statement that inflation has made progress towards the 2% goal? Is that no longer the case?
Colby?
No. So let me look. If you just look at the first paragraph, we did a little bit of language cleanup there. We took out a reference to since earlier in the year as a
have a medium to long-term economic forecast that you can have confidence in? Or if that's not true, can you lay out what you think is going to happen in the economy, how you see it develop?
What's that?
How much of this is just is it necessary? Like, are these people
I don't think it's necessary at all. I mean,
are these people in this room necessary? Like, asking them questions? Like, is it really?
I don't know. I guess so.
And
I know rates and programs.
Just gotta lender reprice worsened.
That's what we do. And right now we feel like we're in a very good place. Policy is well positioned. The economy's in quite a good place actually as well. And what we do expect is to see further progress on inflation. And as I mentioned, as we see that, or if we were to see weakening in the labor market, that could foster, we could then be in a position of making further adjustments. But
do you have any long-term thoughts? Well, my long-term thoughts are if things continue to go the way they are, we're not going to have to change anything. But if things change, we're going to have to change things. I feel like when he walks off stage, like it's really just it's like 3 of the little rascals on each other's shoulders dressed as him. What are you going to do if things change? We're going to have to change if things change.
We change. Things stay the same, we stay the same, right? Yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like this is all that happens. Like, that's why I hate these things. It's just a whole bunch of nothing. And the decision doesn't really seem to impact anything. As we said, we just got a notification rates went up, but even when they lowered the Fed funds rates still went up. So who the hell knows? Like,
nobody knows.
Just want to do some mortgages. That's it.
Just give us a call and we'll tell you what your rate is, and if it's good enough for you, the payment to work for your home purchase or refinance, then we do it. And if it's not, then we don't.
That's it. It's that simple. Could put you on a callback list when it is. Get a nice callback. You know what I mean?
Here, we'll share it again and see what's going on. I wish I could jump around, but it's there.
To make any
We're live streaming their live stream.
adjustments.
Howard.
You got another question?
Howard Schneider with Reuters. Thank you very much. In 2021 at a central bank conference, you said, quote, throughout my career in both public and private sectors, I've seen that the best and most
Consistent with applicable law. All right.
which is governing.
What the fuck?
Elizabeth.
Okay.
Elizabeth Pilsey with ABC News.
Little chopped and screwed.
This is gonna be
Steve's
hard-hitting,
question.
ABC
What
News.
reassurance can you give the American public that the Fed will continue to operate independent of politics under this administration?
How can you protect us from this administration?
You know, as I've said countless times over the years, this is who we are. This is what we do. We study the data. We analyze how it will affect the outlook and the balance of risks, and we use our tools to try to, given our best understanding, our best thinking, try to achieve our goals. That's what we do. That's always what we do. Don't look for us to do anything else. And that's, you know, lots of research shows that's the best way for a central bank to operate. That'll give us the best possible chance to achieve these goals for the benefit of the American people. That's always what we're going to do, and people should have confidence in that, as I said a few minutes ago.
You've said.
How dare you?
Alternative scenarios, including really good ones.
You know, he's not that bad. He's pretty good at his job, I think. Like as far as at the podium goes. I mean,
He seems like a nice guy. That's all you have to say about him?
No, it's frustrating because he says a whole lot of nothing. But like, if his job is to get up there and like not ruffle any feathers and not say anything at all, but fill half an hour, he's really good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I'd be giving up so many industry secrets.
It's just, you know, this whole. Well, how are you going to? That question was like basically like, how are you going to protect us from this administration's interference with? I mean, if people come in and they're like, you're not doing things right, and we want to change it.
Is that such a bad thing?
Right.
Right? If things have been going terribly for the past couple of years, somebody wants to do something different. Is it that bad? I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
All right, so hang tight. Should we go over to the robot and see what the robot has to say about this?
Who's the robot? Oh, the YouTube robot?
No. ChatGPT.
Oh.
Okay,
you
so
gonna ask
what
ChatGPT?
year was the Federal Reserve established? $1913. What year did federal income taxes get passed into law? Al?
Huh.
What year did the Federal Reserve Act get established? 1913.
19, yeah.
What year did the federal income taxes get passed into law? 1913.
1913. Yeah.
What year did both of those get what year did both of those things get abolished? 2026.
Really?
2026.
Is that your guess?
That's my guess. And like, I mean, I don't really know what it means if the Federal Reserve isn't a thing.
I don't either. I don't know how that impacts things.
I don't know, but the way it got into power and the way that it manipulates things is just like doesn't feel
unnerving.
necessary. Yeah. And I mean, I don't like taxes.
Who does? Find me one person that likes taxes and I'll show you a fraud and a loser. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess that'll be our live stream. Al.
Yeah.
Friday we're gonna come on and we're gonna
be full piss and vinegar.
We're gonna have Mike, Section 8 housing done right. It's gonna be a big deal.
Here we go. We'll break this down a little further.
Yeah, we'll digest it and we'll come back with some info and you know, we don't know what we're talking about, but we'll tell you.
Nope. We'll give you our opinions. What we can tell you is how it impacts the mortgage business and how it's going to impact, or how it has impacted rates over the next 2 days. And
so we got a rate update. We got a rate update mid-show from one of the lenders that we partner with, and they adjusted rates by 1/8 of a point. So their rate went up 1/8 of a point.
Yes, it did.
So 6.875 to 7.00, or whatever.
7 to 7 1/8.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we'll keep you posted. We'll let you know how this impacts things, but not looking good. Not looking good.
I don't know. Is it not looking good?
Already one lender repriced worse. We'll see what the T-bill does tomorrow. You know, I mean, all I can go off of is how it directly impacts mortgage rates, and I would say not good to start.
Yeah, I guess to start it's not good, but those things, we get those things all day.
Just got our second one.
Oh, really?
Midday pricing change. Pricing has deteriorated.
Oh, deterioration of pricing.
Yeah. So, we constantly get these throughout the day. Some days you get none, some days you get 5. Depends on the info that comes out.
Yeah, and one thing that you can be certain of is like when either of us are sitting at our desk and these come over, like we're not hitting each other up because, Al doesn't really care about what bothers me or gets me upset. He's got big walls. He's built walls around him. He didn't even want to go live. I had to convince him to go live.
I didn't want to go live. I know interest in going live. Too busy building walls.
He's got walls up. He's got a big thick heart.
Thick. Guarded by a beard.
Guarded by a beard.
Beard.
His heart is hairy. He's got a hairy heart.
Mm-hmm. This is all true. This is all very true. But yeah, you don't ever like to see rate prices worse, and we've already gotten 2 of them today. So we'll see how it impacts things come Friday. But so far, not good. So far, so bad.
So far, so bad? Is that your stance? So far, so bad. That's what you're going to say?
So far, so bad. And that's what I'm going out on. So far, so bad. If you've come here and you're having a good day and you're looking for positivity, turn around, go home.
So far, so
Look
bad.
the other way.
Dude. All right. So, you got any other one-liners? So far, so bad? You got anything else?
So far, so bad is the best that I can come up with on a whim. And I feel like it's perfect. Check the boxes.
All right. Let's hang up.
How I feel.
Let's hang up and listen.
Hang up and listen. We'll see you on Friday.
Well, hold on.
Yep. What, we got new information?
Way beyond any plausible mandate that you could attribute to the Fed. And so we have a quite narrow role, as I've said many times. And I think that the activities of the NGFS are not a good fit for the Fed, given our current mandate and authority.
He just dropped NGFS on the crowd.
So
the balls, the balls of this guy dropping NGFS.
It was time to acknowledge that, this process dates back a couple of years. I made the decision to bring this to the board, some months ago. The process just took time to get here, and this is when we got it and voted on it. So, and I'm aware of how it can look, but it was really not driven by politics. It was driven by kind of the disconnect between the work of the NGFS and our mandate. Other central banks have different mandates and belong to the NGFS. We have no criticism of them, but it just isn't. It's not right for the Fed.
Andrew.
Thanks. Andrew Ackerman with the Washington Post. I'm wondering if you could talk more about what further progress would look like for consumers.
Well, 2% inflation down to 2% sustainably is what we're trying to achieve. We're somewhat above that, as you know, and we want to see serial readings that suggest that we're making further progress on inflation. That's what we want to see, and consumers will pick that up, of course, in the things that they buy at the grocery store or at the store.
The other thing I wanted to ask was just how far away you think.
Look at that guy's grip on the mic. Fucking grip on the mic, dude. Buddy, fucking grab the fucking mic.
He's got no T. He's definitely a low T guy.
What is that?
I don't know.
Oh God. All right.
Yeah.
You are from neutral.
Yeah, you can't know with any precision, of course. As I like to say, that you know the neutral rate by its works. So I think at 4.3%, we're above pretty much everyone on the committee's estimates of the longer run neutral. I think our eyes are telling us that our policy is having the effects on the economy. That's really the question we ask. You can consult models, empirical models, theoretical models. You really have to just look out the window and see how your policy rate is affecting the economy. And I think we see that it's having meaningful effects in bringing inflation under control. It has helped bring the labor market into balance as well. So that's what we think. I would say we're meaningfully above it.
I went to the deli yesterday and I got a turkey wrap and an iced tea and a bag of chips, and it was $17.
Yes.
I am
full of shit. Let's get Romy, we're seeing that impact. I'm not fucking seeing it, dude. I'm not seeing shit. Like
Limp Wrist Reporter and Jerome.
Yeah, everything's still just as expensive as it was.
I love that you have these fancy words and like you're talking about empirical data and
empirical data. When he started saying stuff like that, I'm like, man, maybe I have no idea what this son of a bitch is talking about, and I don't know. What kind of models you're running. I have no idea. That is so far over my head, but I know that everything else he's just said is bullshit.
I have no illusion that anyone knows precisely how much that is. But not knowing that and having cut 100 basis points means that it's appropriate that we not be in a hurry to make further adjustments.
Victoria. Victoria Guido with Politico. So as a general matter, when it comes to executive orders and OMB memos,
her grip is more of a grip
firm,
than that.
She's firm gripped, yeah. Politico.
Victoria. Guida.
those always apply to the Fed, sometimes never, or do you just often voluntarily comply? What is the legality there?
So it's been our practice, as I mentioned, to work to align our policies to those that are mentioned in the executive orders, and I'm just going to leave it at that. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go any deeper than that.
Two questions, if I may, on tariffs. Well, first of all, we've seen global trade wars before, notably in 2019, last time around, but then we were in a very different place on both inflation and growth. If we see tariffs of the same sort of magnitude that we got then, which I know is big if, what do you think might be different this time around? And secondly, Tiff Macklem said there was no doubt that the threat of tariffs was a big driver of the cut by the Bank of Canada today. What sort?
Bitch coming here talking about the Bank of Canada. With that accent, I'd rather hear her do like a David Bowie cover or something.
What sort of information would the Fed need to see on tariffs before it was willing to take such a preemptive move? Thank you.
Sorry.
What sort of information would you need to see on tariffs? Would you need to see a strategy, actual implementation, actual movement of inflation expectations before you're actually willing to change the path of monetary policy on the basis of it?
Yeah, so first of all, things are a little different now. We've just come.
Monetary.
He couldn't even follow her accent.
Come through a high inflation period, and you can argue that both ways. You can say that companies have figured out that they do like to raise prices. I don't know how that shakes out. Nonetheless, you're coming through a situation where we're not quite back to 2%, and that's just different. In addition, the kind of footprint of trade has changed a lot as trade is now spread around. It's not as concentrated in China as it was. There was a lot more manufacturing. It moved to Mexico and other places. So there are differences, and I just think the range of possibilities is very, very wide. We just don't know. By the way, in 2000 and I guess 18, we didn't really know, and the range is possibilities very, very wide. We don't know what's going to be tariffed. We don't know for how long or how much, what countries. We don't know about retaliation. We don't know how it's going to transmit through the economy to consumers. That really does remain to be seen. You know, there are lots of places where that price increase from the tariff can show up between the manufacturer and the consumer. Just so many variables. So we're just going to have to wait and see. And, you know, the best we can do is what we've done, was think about the factors that might matter, and then we'll just have to see how it goes.
Courtney.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that stance on tariffs. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to think about think about the matter.
mean, it's just all he ever says. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait and see. That's all he does is wait and see. I'm done.
It's been 2 years of waiting and seeing.
So tired of waiting and seeing. I don't even know what any of this means. I just know what happens when I price out a loan.
I don't know if we're supposed. I think it's by design. I don't think we're supposed to know what any of it means. Does anybody know what any of that freaking means?
Somebody does. Some of the people that are asking those questions do. Probably not the guy with the terrible grip on the microphone, but majority of the other folks in there know what it means. I do not know what it means.
I think that you're not giving yourself enough credit. I don't
think there's more people out there that are like me that are like, what the fuck?
I think that everybody's like, what did he just say? Like, did he say anything, or is he talking in circles? He could just say, well, you know, we just have to wait and see. I guess he did say we have to wait and see.
That's it. That's exactly
well, then you know what he said.
Yeah, but he threw a lot of padding around that. There was a lot of beard around that.
Around that heart?
Around that. There was a lot of beard around that heart. If the heart is the actual line, there was a lot of beard around it.
Yeah, he didn't get to, but that's kind of his thing.
Yeah, maybe, you know, I don't know. Maybe he has to just give a very long. It seems like him talking is like me in 10th grade writing a paper that has to be, you know, 1,000 words, and I can only come up with 500.
Right. Yeah. He's fucking.
You know what I mean?
Yes. He's going from 12 font to 13, 1.5 spacing, and he's saying the same thing.
There's a lot of extra words in there. We are we're not going from here to here. We're doing kind of like this. Eventually, we're gonna get there. We're gonna go backwards. We're gonna
listen,
and then we'll.
Listen, in 2018, we didn't know what was going to happen in 2019, because in 2018 is before 2019.
And you can't go as far back as 2017.
And
back to 2016. In 2015.
And, you know, China, they used to develop a lot more than they develop now. They still develop a lot of things, but there's a lot more things developed in other places.
Manufacturers move into other places like Mexico.
Right.
All these other different countries, Mexico being one of them. There's a lot of other countries, you know, north, south being Mexico. A lot of different countries that we can talk about.
North, east, west, Mexico.
There's a lot of other countries that are in the game now, and that just, you know, speaking of the game, it's not a game what we're doing here. We take it very seriously. We get in there, we're actually talking about things. We're not just talking about coffee and God knows what else. And I'm actually talking way too fast. You gotta slow it down a little bit, right? You can't speed up. Now I kind of feel like this picture behind me is crooked, or is that the frame that's crooked? What's crooked?
Yeah, it's crooked. Hey, if I could ask you a question real quick. I'm really important. I'm from ABC News, and I just wanted to know.
Is that where he was from?
No, he was from, I don't know, Reuters or something like that.
No.
I don't think it was Reuters. I think the other guy was from. But yeah, you need a level, dude.
No, bro, I leveled it. There you go. Yeah, I leveled. If I pop a level in there, I guarantee you, I'm adamant about the things that I hang in my house.
Do you have a level nearby? Because we have a viewer, and maybe he wants to know if your fucking level, the shit's level.
I don't have a level nearby, but I guarantee you, if I pop a level in that bad boy, it's this camera that's a little wonky. It's not that.
Okay, so we could be doing the first live level of YouTube history. Man, you know what? There's a lot of construction stuff out there. I'm sure that people have.
Somebody's definitely live leveled before.
So anyway,
now we're good. Look at that. You just need to adjust the camera.
All right. So, Al, is that a Christmas tree behind you?
That guy Jerome Powell talks in circles, doesn't he? He uses a lot of words.
Yeah.
Look, we put the Christmas stuff away. I completely forgot that was out. Now I just got to live with it. Now I'm just I constantly want to be reminded of the Christmas spirit to keep me positive through these negative times. How's that?
It seems a lot like you're one of those people who procrastinates putting up Christmas decorations. Maybe you get them up in like the 20th, and then you have a hard time taking them down because you want to get the most out of them.
That was me. It's not me anymore because I have kids now. So now you can't procrastinate with putting stuff up and taking. And we had stuff down on the 27th. We had it down before New Year's. Christmas stuff down. Yeah, 27th.
Except for the one piece of Christmas that we can see behind you.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't do very much for my case now, does it? But outside of that, yeah, the rest of it's down. Now I gotta get rid
He's
of
talking
that
about
frickin'
employment
tree.
participation now.
No, Jesus.
He just said that households are in really good shape right now.
Households?
Yeah.
Like sales?
So that's how we think about that. We look at overall financial conditions, and you can't just take equity prices. You've got to look at rates too, and that represents a tightening in conditions with higher rates. So overall, financial conditions are probably still somewhat accommodative, but it's a mixed bag.
Hi, Chair Powell. I'm Richard Escobedo with CBS News. One question for you. This month's statement notes that unemployment is stabilized at a low rate and that the labor market is solid. You walked through some of what's driving this, but I wonder what risks you see that might challenge your assessment.
Well, the things we discussed earlier, what is that there's a low hiring rate. And so that if there were to be a spike in layoffs, if companies were to start to reduce headcount, you would see unemployment go up pretty quickly because the hiring rate is quite low. So that's one thing we look at. I think it's worth pointing out that for lower income households, they're under significant pressure. And in the aggregate, the numbers are good, but we know that people at the lower end of the income spectrum are struggling with costs. And really, it's high inflation for the basics of life. It's not so much the inflation now, it's the price level. Because inflation has raised prices. Inflation is now much closer to target, but people are really feeling that. But, overall, this is a good labor market. You're at 4.1% unemployment. That's just a really good level, and you've been solidly there now for 6-7 months. And job creation is pretty close to a level that will hold the unemployment rate there, given that there'll be much slower.
What did you think about that, Al?
I wasn't paying attention.
We lost him.
One more question. Some of the uncertainty around immigration policy is, in your assessment, is that making it harder for businesses and the Fed to plan going forward?
I want to ask him a question. You want to ask him a question?
Yeah. No.
Is the housing market going to crash? Are mortgage rates ever going to go down? All right, Alvin.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go down.
Let's get the hell off here.
Not anytime soon. Yeah. Yeah, we've done our damage. It's 40 minutes. But
Right.
yeah, I've been out at 30.
Mm-hmm. For
What
sure.
did I want to end on?
So far, so bad.
So far,